Welcome hunters, today we're going to be going over some tips and extra details to enhance your Insect Glaive gameplay. While it has been an absolute wonderful experience for me, I feel like it's going to be a great year of hunts. It's also been really great to see so many familiar faces in the comments and so many new hunters as well. So thank you all for the great welcome back. So without further ado, let's get started. Grab your Seikret and let's head on out. Saving the best for first. This is a high level skill that I think glaive mains will really enjoy using. The power clash and offset attack is a single attack but varies based on your timing. In basic terms, you can consider a power clash almost like a counter and the offset attack almost like super armor, which leads to a reduced damage taken and reduced knockback effect. For the glaive, these are linked to the descending / charged attack. Now a reminder here that the charge attack on the ground can be held and you can walk around with it to position yourself. Now the reason they've allowed us to do this is really to be able to time your power clash. If you time the first upswing of the descending / attack right when the monster hits you, you will actually counter the monster, resulting in a large knockback effect on the monster. Now I do say effect and not exactly a knockback because sometimes depending on the monster and the type of monster and the attack that they're using, it may not knock them over, but at the least it will stop their incoming attack. So let's take a look here at the example at using the dummy. I have set this dummy to knock me back here, as you can see. Now the power clash, when I release the timing of the descending / exactly on point, you can see here the upswing of the first / hits when I get hit. The result is a giant pushback of the monster. Now the payoff is that you get this big opening, but keep in mind you will take a little bit of damage. There's a reduced amount, but you will still take a little bit of damage. Now a great combo opportunity here is if you execute the power clash well, you can immediately go into your rising spiral slash. The knockback has a decent opening for it. Not too much, of course. You can't spend time deciding. You gotta be quick, fit the damage in, and then reset right away. So that's the power clash, the best timing, and you'll get the best result. In my opinion, it's a very high level skill to execute. The timing is insanely narrow, and it will take some practice because it's not just clicking a button. There is an animation that you have to account for. Now, if you are too late with your release, you will get hit. End of story. It's just too late, too bad. However, if you are just a bit too early with your release, you have a small window of grace, which is known as the offset attack. So you still execute your attack, the damage you take is reduced by a portion, but there is no knockback effect on the monster. Now this doesn't mean you are invincible. For monsters with large hit zones or a multi-hit attack, you will offset the first attack, but you can still get hit by another hitbox. So for example, if a monster charges at you, you may offset the first head or the claw attack, but the body may knock you back. So definitely something that's going to need a good amount of practice. It's going to be really good for single hit attacks, but even multi-hit attacks, if you really want to use the offset to your advantage, you may even want to be a little bit more aggressive, get the last set of damage, you're going to break a monster apart or knock them down, execute your attack, and high risk, high reward. Now next up is the focus mode. For the glaive, you really want to be trying to be in focus mode as much as possible. As I mentioned in my tutorial, the only real downside is that you're a tad bit slower with your movement. But once you have some good experience with the glaive and you improve your positioning with certain monsters, this slowed movement doesn't hurt as much, and the benefit of additional damage from your Insect is definitely worth it. Additionally, your Insect will deal extra element damage, so for monsters weak to certain elements, this is great damage. And on top of this, later on you'll also see that the rarity 4 Insects have the Insect bonus Insect combo boost element, which boosts their element damage when they're attacking with you, so it's extra damage for you all around. The last thing that I want to note that I did miss in my tutorial was that you can actually transition to focus mode while performing other actions. You can actually see the change in the reticle, which has 3 extra prongs that show up, and that'll indicate that you're in focus mode, and your whole screen will actually zoom in a little bit. So you don't need to wait until you have 2 feet on the ground. If you're doing another action, you can go into focus mode, and then you can start getting that extra damage whenever you like. Now moving through the focus mode, let's talk about the focus strike. There are 2 things that I wanted to highlight with this. The focus strike is a great tool for breaking wounds, and the glaive is really good at creating wounds, so you'll definitely be using the focus strike quite a bit. The first thing here is that the focus strike is also really good at recovering triple buff. The focus strike on that open wound will be an ideal way to recover all 3 buffs immediately. This is very ideal for the middle of a hunt. Maybe you've caused a lot of damage, you've opened a couple of wounds here. If you run out of your buffs, or if you use the rising spiral slash and consume all of your extracts, if there's an open wound, you can immediately get it back and then go back into the hunt. The second point I wanted to talk about for the focus strike is that you can actually perform this skill from the air. Definitely helpful for those hard to reach spots. Especially as a glaive user, you will be creating some weak spots probably on the monster's back while performing aerial attacks. So keep this in mind that you can actually get some quick damage if you see a wound on top of the monster's back or high up. You can get up in the air, focus strike, and that'll create some sort of opening. Not all the time they'll knock over the monster, but at least it'll create a stagger for you and your teammates to then get some extra damage in. Now speaking of aerial attacks, let's quickly look at the jumping advancing slash. I did go over the mobility aspect of this in my tutorial, but let's take a look at the actual damage portion of it, which was something that was also presented in Monster Hunter Rise. As I've mentioned before, you can perform the jumping advancing slash in the air up to 4 times before you have to land on the ground. Each time you land the final hit, you actually perform an auto vault and you gain an aerial level. This aerial level enhances your damage by a portion for all your other Insect Glaive skills, and you can go up to a maximum level of 3, with your first vault into the air counting as level 1. So you really need to perform just 2 advancing jumping slashes to reach max level. So any skills you use after vaulting into the air and performing these advancing slashes, they'll have extra damage until you land back on the ground and reset the combo. The best part is that the finishing skills coming back to the ground also have the enhanced damage that includes the descending thrust charge attack and the strong jumping slash. So just to showcase this, we are doing the descending thrust charge level 2 with level 1, 2, and 3 for the aerial charge level. As you can see, looking at the damage for the first strike when you hit the head here, the first one at level 1 is 48, the second one is 57, and the third one is 70 damage. So when you perform this final combo landing back on the ground with a higher aerial charge, you will deal more damage. So it's a very neat system, definitely something to take your glaive skills to the next level because it does require a little bit more precision, good positioning, and a good understanding of the monster attacks to be able to time 2 advancing slashes and then land your final dealing damage, and for the most part that's the crucial one that you want to be able to hit. I highly recommend completing this combo with the descending charge thrust. Again, it's something else that you have to consider midway. You'll have to think about charging while you're finishing your second advancing slash. So if you can't do that or you miss that, the strong jumping slash is still a great option. Okay, now this is a fun last tip, not something that's gonna make you more efficient, so to say. So riding your Seikret actually grants you focus mode. When you aim and shoot a slinger, you'll actually see the weak points highlighted. So when you use the glaive to attack while riding, your Insect actually shoots out and hits the monster and will grab an extract as well. That's just a fun little tool. I usually use this when a monster transitions to a new area and I run out of my extracts. Typically when you get to that new area, the monster will take a second to aggro onto you. You can sneak in a quick attack, get the red buff, or whichever one you want to prioritize. In team hunts, I also just use this. I'll just keep riding around, for fun, grab all 3 and then join the hunt. Again, not the most efficient method, but it's a safe, pretty effective, and it's fun. So that's about it, guys. Just some extra details that I wanted to add to my tutorial in this video. The tutorial was geared for new and returning glaive hunters, and so hopefully this will give you some extra tidbits to improve your glaive hunts. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. As usual, stay safe, be happy, and keep hunting. Scott Sensei is out.